We got this Gryphette glass grinder. Let's open this up and check it out. It says here 5-year warranty, powerful no stall DC motor. Okay. Instructions, we'll get to that. Bag of sponge and goodies, the shield, some Allen keys. There's even a fuse here, that's weird. We'll get to that in a bit. And maybe we'll just pull this whole thing out. Very well packed in the styrofoam. Oh. Wow, this is pretty tiny. So if you can see, like this is the size of the cutter, a standard box cutter, and that's the size of it. Wow, it's really tiny. I remember seeing this in the shop and it was small. I just don't remember how it was this small. It looks nice, it's very compact, that's for sure. It's gonna be taking up less space on your table. Yeah, it's really small. Let me just kind of show you maybe just a real quick comparison to the inland grinder that I have here. So this is the Inland Craft grinder, this is the Whiz model, and this is our Gryphon. I mean, it is significantly smaller. Let's measure this out right now. The tabletop, the surface on here, we're looking at, this is a 10.5 roughly. So let's say 10.5 by 8.5. 10.5 by 8.5 roughly inches for that work surface. And this one here is about 6.5. 6.5 by 6.5. So that is significantly smaller. This one I think costs about 110 online for this model, this Gryphon. And then the Inland Craft grinder, this one goes for 130, but then we get, or I'm sorry, the Whiz, the cheapest model, the Whiz, goes for I believe 130, and you can take $15 off with the code that we have because we've partnered with them. But let's get this set up, see how it works. So this looks to be the 3/4 inch bit already installed, and we'll put on this shield. Let's see what else we need to do. It looks like that goes there. I'm just adding these here. It's rubbery. So this piece is made out of plastic. So that's your shield, and then it locks in right there in that clip, that little tab. And then these here are rubber little side pieces that looks like you kind of just slide them in here, so that should protect you from the water splashes. I kind of like that. It's actually really nice, and it's not plastic, so it's flexible. So if your piece needs to, you kind of push them out of the way while you're grinding. That makes sense. It's kind of cool. And then how about, there we go. So we lift that up. That would be your bay that you fill the water and the coolant. It's not removable, so you just dump it, clean it. This is the way to do it. And then we got this sponge, this huge sponge. I mean, if that's, they're very generous with the sponge. I guess you got 2 of them. Let's take a look at the instructions. I don't have any other instructions. It says to put it in the hole and make sure that it's touching the bit as it's spinning. I think you can trim this off. Just got plenty of sponge. So All right, let's plug this in and then we could turn it on and try it out. So there's like a line around the perimeter on the inside of this. I think it should work. That was about a cup of water. But if you soak it, then it's going to come up. Ensure that the bottom of sponge absorbs water from the tray. It's very important that sponge keeps the grinding bit wet during operation. Somehow this sponge needs to be touching. All right, let's plug it in. So this came with the Allen wrench, the Allen key, and that's to remove the bit as you need to replace it. And also it comes with a fuse. There's this little fuse part right here. Let's see if I can remove that for you. There it is. So if that pops because something happened with the electricity, you have another one to replace the fuse. Something different that I don't have a fuse here in the Inland, but there's a fuse for this model, and that just screws back into itself. And before we do anything, I would suggest getting some safety glasses. So here's a little piece of glass that I found. Let's fire this up. Oh, before that, let's remove this plastic little tab here. That's just this trash. That bit seems nice and tight on there. Let's turn it on. Wow, it's quiet. That's the first thing I can say. It's very quiet. That motor is super quiet. I remember the Inland being a little bit louder, maybe because the motor is a little bit bigger. It sounds very quiet, so it's not really hissing, buzzing in the ears, and not giving you too much noise out of it. So I'm just trying to shove the sponge in there so it's touching the bit. And as far as water goes, I feel like so far it's contained. I feel a little splashing coming out on the front side here. Let's try this out. Alright, that's a nice bit. Grinded out, grinded this thing real well. Took that off nice and quick. No issues whatsoever. Yeah, that bit is real nice. And you can see the glass has grinded down pretty good and works just the same. I feel the motor on this, I mean, I didn't push it too hard. Well, let's try to push it. Clean that off. All right. Yeah, I pushed pretty hard in there on that last part just to see how it would take the grinding of this glass, and it worked perfectly. So it's a great grinder for its size. I actually feel it's a nice compact type of a grinder. This is going to be good for the beginner who is looking to do smaller projects. Obviously you're limited to this 6x6, what is it, 6.5 by 6.5 work surface. So you know, if you had a longer piece that you're trying to work with and it extended out, you know, past this here, you might have some problems kind of maneuvering it and trying to hold it and place it on the table. But if you're looking at working on smaller projects and you have something that the pieces are a lot smaller, which is to say most of my projects have been that way because we piece smaller pieces together, this worked just fine. And the motor itself is powerful. It can definitely take some good pushing and you know, trying to grind a lot of that glass. So far I feel great about this. It is mightier than it looks. It just seems like a really small package. So, you know, a really tiny glass grinder. This is the smallest one I've ever seen. I actually thought that most grinders were the size that I have from Inland. So this is a surprise to me to see something this small of a size. Let's see here. So we're looking at the difference between, again, the Gryphette, Gryphon grinder, and then our Inland Craft grinder. So yeah, the tray, let's get this off here. The tray, you can see the tray size as well. So that is much bigger. When you take off the bit on this one, you can empty the tray and remove that. So that's pretty cool. Problem is you have to remove the bit. So every time that gets kind of in the way. Oh yeah, on this one, when you have to empty the water, you would just dump it out. Just take this tray, unplug, and just take this tray out and just go ahead and clean it off. So it looks good. This is something I would be happy to be able to put together in our kit. So the only reason that I can't sell this in the kit is because it's coming from Inland themselves, and so they are the manufacturers and shipping these out. We have a partnership with them, but I don't have the, I guess, rights to sell their grinder. So for this one, my supplier has this ready in stock, and he does not have the Inland because they're separate companies. So we are able to sell this grinder. So to me right now, it looks like if you're looking to get a glass grinder that is smaller and more compact, so it doesn't take up space, yet still with some good motor, pretty powerful motor. I mean, check this out. Yeah. Super simple, easy to use. I mean, you don't even have to set it up. The bit is already on there. And just plug in, put some water in, put some coolant maybe if you're doing some longer sessions, and then just grind away. I can see how this would be a good beginner's glass grinder. Just how it gets you going right away. You don't need to get into a bigger model until you feel like maybe you might be grinding a whole lot, or you want that bigger work surface, that area to work with. Then you would maybe consider something like this, where it's much bigger, so you have a bigger work surface, and then I think the motor is more powerful on this one, but I think this one costs a little bit more than the Gryphette, where the Gryphette grinder is more of a budget-friendly model, I would say. In any case, you guys will have to decide. So in some future videos, I'm going to try to play around with this some more, get some more use out of it, just to kind of get more familiar with it. We'll go through an entire project with it, just to kind of see how it handles. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be just fine. We're talking about a diamond bit right here, so all the bits that you're using, make sure that you're using a diamond bit. Don't mess with anything else. The diamond bit is going to be best for glass grinding. Let's try to grind some more. It's kind of fun. Yep. Works great. Yeah, this is a simple, nice and simple glass grinder, and I like it. I think it works. I would definitely recommend it for anyone who's looking to get that budget-friendly glass grinder, probably the most budget-friendly out there. Overall, great grinder. If I had this as my first one, I'd be happy with it. Alright guys, thanks for checking this out and hanging out with me. If you guys have questions about this, let me know in the comments, and I will try to get to them. See ya. I got the Gryphon, Gryphette. I got this Gryphon, Gryphette. I got the Gryphon, Gryphette glass grinder. We're gonna check this out.